The basics. These are the foundational bodyweight exercises that all the other stuff originates from. The big ones are the pull-up, dip, push-up and squat, but it also includes rows and even leg raises. This is where every calisthenics athlete starts, and it's where you build a strength base before you specialize. This typically involves starting with a resistance band and gradually working your way up. There are also some skills that belong here to help build your initial body control. This involves a leg raise over the bar called a pullover, experimenting with some handstand holds, and learning the technique for the kipping muscle up. Maybe even the tuck planche as well, but that's debatable. Now eventually, when you've gotten familiar with the basics and a few key skills, then it's time to make a choice. Do you want to keep adding reps, or do you want to convert your strength into new and more difficult skills? And this is where calisthenics starts dividing into different disciplines, each with their own communities and competition formats. Endurance. Also known as high rep calisthenics, this is when you keep working on the basics but progress through adding more reps. It's characterized by a lot of very clean muscle ups, pull-ups, dips, etc. Simply put, the basics but on steroids. And compared to the other categories, this actually makes it very minimalistic and easy to get started. The movements are simple and consistent, and since all of them are great muscle builders, it shapes a very aesthetic physique. Now endurance can be divided into a few subcategories, the first being bodyweight only. This is all about speed reps, and the barbarian requirements is a key example of how this looks at the highest level. Similar to this, competitions consist of a single or multiple workouts that needs to be completed as quick as possible, typically with strict form requirements. The second subcategory is weighted calisthenics with high volume training. This is most commonly dips and pull-ups, but it can also be muscle ups at the highest level. A training style used to test your limits, especially useful if you're advanced and prefer the extra flexibility when programming. Competitions here are a little different though, as athletes go for max reps in a single exercise with each rep giving a point. So in the Nordic countries, people rep out pull-ups, dips and pistol squats, but other more high-profile competitions like Calisthenics have implemented 1-minute rounds where the person with the most completed reps wins. Then there's the third subcategory that combines bodyweight endurance and weighted endurance, which has gained a lot of popularity lately, and many of the top-tier athletes in both of the other subcategories are competing on these grounds. A really popular format is 1 versus 1 battles in a tournament bracket. First person to complete the workout moves on, and the other person is knocked out of the tournament. This is, by the way, also the format that I've competed in the most, and here I am losing in the final of Beast of the Bars to none other than Max True. Skill training. The next major category is strength-based skill training. This involves learning and performing more difficult movements instead of adding extra reps. Athletes here enjoy challenging the body in new ways and bringing a more playful approach to their trainings. And it's not just about strength, but coordination and body awareness as well. Especially in the beginning, improvements here are almost always technical. Now when it comes to progression, this happens by gradually making the movement itself more demanding, either by extending the body or reducing assistance. This allows you to move step by step until you reach the final skill. And overall, there are two main categories: power moves and statics. Power moves, or dynamic strength skills, involves moving through a difficult range of motion, and this includes many of the most iconic movements in calisthenics: handstand push-ups, one-arm pull-ups and muscle-ups, but also more advanced skills like Hephaestos, front-lever pull-ups and many more. Some of these are natural next steps after mastering the basics, and I believe a lot of athletes like to work on at least some of them. There's also a lot of freedom here, whether you prefer to be explosive like a no-dip muscle-up or controlled like a slow muscle-up. But in contrast to endurance, the goal is to perfect just one or few quality reps. The other category is statics. This is all about holding advanced body positions for time. Best known is the planche as a pushing exercise and the front lever as a pulling exercise. There are other options, but most of them derive from these two, like the Maltese planche and one-arm planche, or the touch front lever and one-arm front lever. Statics also has a more established competitive scene with a dedicated fan base.
Then you know who I am. I'm Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen! Yes. Do you know many Ferraris?
No. I'm in the Piston Cup. What?
Luigi follow only the Ferraris.
Now, in competitions, each skill has a predetermined set of points, even if the move is held for 3 full seconds. So this is typically also viewed as a successful hold in trainings as well. And interestingly, many of these competitions reward both the hold and the related power move. For example, both the planche and the planche push-up. And this combination creates a really impressive set of athletes. But it is of course a little different from simply holding the moves for as long as possible, which I believe a lot of people do in their trainings. Freestyle. This discipline is probably the most visually jaw-dropping, as athletes has to incorporate an artistic expression. There's a limited time frame to combine acrobatics, power moves, static elements, as well as a fluid flow between the chosen movements. And the routine is judged on all 4 of these parameters. The acrobatics section involves flipping and turning in the air before grabbing the bar again. And sometimes these skills are just called dynamics. Many of them are both high risk and high reward, and at the highest level it creates some insane looking movements just like this. The power moves and statics we already covered, only this time the skills can't stand alone. But as mentioned, a lot of people like to focus on statics and power moves, and these athletes sometimes use freestyle as a platform to showcase their skills. Lastly, we have the flow category, which covers the fluidity of transitions between moves. In my opinion, the best person to showcase here is Christoph, who moves from skill to skill like it's nothing. I mean, just look at that. The competition format here is a tournament bracket with each judging category giving 1 point. So versatility is the name of the game in freestyle. And that's also what makes it such a creative training form, where you have to pick and choose elements while both your strength and your personality is on display. But it definitely requires the right gym setup and some mats to land safely on. Streetlifting. The 4th major category is streetlifting. This is a 1 rep max style of weighted calisthenics inspired by the principles of competitive weightlifting. Essentially, this is a format where you keep the basics but instead overload by adding more weight. And it's probably the style of calisthenics that has gained the most attention lately. In this discipline, athletes are divided into weight classes and have to complete a set of exercises for a 1 rep max with the highest possible weight. Each athlete has 3 attempts per exercise, and there are 2 main formats, the all 4 and the classic. In the all 4, athletes have to complete the following exercises. First, a straight muscle up. Second, a pull-up. Third, a dip. And fourth, a back squat. The athlete with the highest total added weight wins. This is the most popular format, and it is producing a really interesting set of athletes. I always think it's interesting to look at the highest level in sports to see what body composition produces the best results. Athletes here are jacked, but in contrast to other weightlifting disciplines like powerlifting, they also have a low body fat percentage because they have to complete a clean muscle up. So added fat isn't really a performance benefit here other than the squat, of course. The other format is the classic, which consists of the pull-up and the dip. This is the format that started streetlifting and is easily represented by Matthew Slatt. But this format isn't quite as popular now, as the new breed of calisthenics athletes aren't really down prioritizing legs anymore. Compared to the other disciplines, streetlifting offers a more regulated format with a clear rule set. It also allows you to place the calisthenics movements into traditional weightlifting schemes for great progress. The only downside for some people is that you're bound by weight, which can limit the freedom that comes with pure calisthenics, being able to train almost anywhere. Muscle building. A 5th potential category could be simply utilizing the big compound movements due to the significant muscle activation. Calisthenics training builds muscle really well, and it seems that this fact is getting more well known. This could involve keeping the classic hypertrophy rep range, slowing down the movement, and focusing on the contraction instead of performance. Now, of course, in your own training, there does need to be a clear division of these categories. You can easily train the things you enjoy, even though the skills or training styles overlap, but achieving peak performance in each one requires some specialization. I hope you got inspired to walk down the path of one or more of these categories. That was it for the video. I will see you in the next one.